You're trying to save me, stop holding your breath. And you think I'm crazy, yeah, you think I'm crazy.
Hi my angels, it's Haley Reese and I hope that you guys are ready for today's video because we are about to dive into one of the scariest real life haunted dolls, Annabelle. I'm filming today's video in the bright light of the sunshine because I have a really bad habit of filming late at night. And this topic super scares me because, as you guys know, I've done a video on it. I have a haunted doll of my own that when we dive into this has shown some like similar symptoms. I don't know. So I didn't want to freak myself out. If you guys do want to watch that video though, I will have a little card right now for you guys to click on over and go check out that video and let me know what you guys think of that. But today is not about red. Today is about Annabelle. Just last night I went and watched the new Annabelle movie. I know I've said in the past I don't like to watch movies about possession or demonic forces just because when you watch a ton of these videos or these movies, you're kind of opening yourself up to that world. But Once in a Blue Moon isn't so bad and I really did want to see the movie. After leaving that movie, I had so many things that I wanted to talk with you guys about, which is super weird because I went there like on my own time, not even thinking about creating a video on it, and I left there thinking I need to share with them the true story of Annabelle and I need to share with them the realness of this abbreviation of Annabelle, if that makes sense. So if you guys want to hear the real story behind this movie and this doll named Annabelle, just keep on watching this video, and at the end we're going to talk just a little bit about the movie and the realness surrounding that in itself. Before I get into today's video though, as you guys know, I just want to say if you are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, I would love it if you would go ahead, click the subscribe button, join the Reese's Pieces, and come on this journey with us because this family has just grown so much and I am so eternally grateful. So we would love it if you do enjoy as well, that you join on. The first thing that I really want to touch on in today's video is that the doll that you see in the Annabelle movie and the Conjuring movie is not at all similar to the real life doll. However, the new Annabelle movie brings this doll in a little bit. I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it. But this right here is the doll that was created by the director James Wan for the Conjuring movie. He kind of wanted to give Annabelle a more sinister look as opposed to her regular Raggedy Ann appearance. This Raggedy Ann doll was bought in 1970 for a young woman by the name of Donna for her 28th birthday by her mother. Her mom bought this doll from a hobby store. She thought that it was just a regular Raggedy Ann doll. You know, back then Raggedy Ann dolls were a huge thing. They were widely popular all across the country and all across the world. So they were a pretty common gift to be giving people, whether or not you were turning 28 or you were turning 8. You most likely had a Raggedy Ann doll. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this Raggedy Ann doll creeps me out a little bit more than the one that was created for the Conjuring and this entire Conjuring series because of the innocence of it and the fact that it kind of looks like a clown. Just the fact that like so many people had it and it was deemed so harmless freaks me out. But anyways, like I said, this doll was purchased in 1970. It was bought for a woman turning 28 years old named Donna who lived with her roommate named Angie. So at first, both Donna and Angie thought that this doll was just a regular Raggedy Ann doll. They kept it in the house. I believe it was most prominently kept on Donna's bed. And slowly but surely, they started to realize that, hey, maybe this doll has a little something going on. They claimed that it started out really slow. They would come home, and this is what freaks me out because it reminds me of Red, but anyways, they would come home and their doll would be in a completely different space, or Donna's doll would be in a completely different space than she left it. So it started out just being moved, like let's say she had left it, you know, on the bed, the doll would now be moved on the floor, or little things like that where it was like, could it not be? Sounds very familiar once again to my Red. Oh my goodness. But anyways, that was how it started out. Slowly but surely though, they started to notice things that were really strange. They would come home and not only would the doll be moved, but she would have like her legs crossed, or she would be like leaning on her arm, or she would be standing up sometimes. Just like in all of these strange positions that made it seem like this doll is coming to life when they are not in the presence of it. Now, eventually, these little movements turned into large jumps of positioning. The doll would be left on the couch when they would go out, and they would come home to the doll in a completely different room, back on Donna's bed, or vice versa, leaving Donna's bed off to the couch, just finding the doll in all of these strange places. Now, when it started to take a very, very creepy turn was when they started to find these notes on parchment paper, which Donna and Angie did not have in their house whatsoever, that had little creepy messages like "help us" or "help me" or "help Lou." Now, Lou was a really close friend of both Donna and Angie, and he did not like this doll right from the get-go. The minute that this doll was brought into the house, he said he felt something so dark around it. And so it was really strange that these little notes were popping up saying "help Lou" on parchment paper that they did not own within the house, and the doll was moving room to room. So initially, I believe they thought that someone was breaking into their house and that things were getting really freaky with this doll, and they wondered if someone was kind of playing like a practical joke on them. It wasn't until Donna found what appeared to be blood on the doll's hands when they came home that she decided to call in a medium, because she didn't know what to do at this point. It suddenly went from this could be coincidental to this could be a practical joke to okay, this is just plain scary. So they bring in this medium. So the medium reaches out, they're all sitting around the table, and she says that it is the spirit of a 7-year-old little girl by the name of Annabelle Higgins. Now, the story that Annabelle shared with this medium was that she had lived on this property prior to the building that these girls were living in was even built, and that she had actually passed away at the age of 7 on, I believe she said something like on the ground or on the terrain around there, and that this place held a ton of happy memories for her, that she means zero harm to the girls, and basically through this medium, Annabelle convinces the girls to let her stay. She basically says that she poses no threat, all she wants to do is stay in the one place that was her happy place as a child, and that this place is really special to her, and she's so sorry if she scared them, but that was not her intentions. Which would later turn out to be a very, very, very massive lie. So let's go back to a moment to where I mentioned that their very good friend Lou never liked Annabelle, and he was one of the first to have a very demonic, negative experience with Annabelle, and would soon be the start of them realizing that it was never in fact a 7-year-old little girl, it wasn't even human. The first time that Lou experienced something demonic surrounding Annabelle was he was actually sleeping at the girl's house. And he woke up in a state of sleep paralysis, which we've briefly touched on in previous videos with other people's experiences. Sleep paralysis is actually where you feel like you can physically not move your body. You are conscious of what's going on around you, but you are in a state of sleeping where you cannot be woken up to physically move your body. That is like the most amateur, brief description of it, but it kind of gives you guys an insight to the fact that he was laying there sleeping. He knew he was awake. He could see things going on in the room, but his body was still physically asleep. He said that nothing seemed ajar in the room until all of a sudden he looks to the foot of the bed and sees Annabelle climbing and crawling towards him. He starts to feel really, really suffocated and in a state of sheer terror. Annabelle climbs up onto Lou's body and begins to choke him. He is literally being compressed by this doll, and it is choking him and squeezing him and making it feel like he can't breathe, and he's just panicking, and eventually he passes out during this experience. It wasn't until Lou and Angie actually had an experience together while it was just the two of them at the house that kind of was a turning point for all of them. So basically, let me explain what happened. Lou and Angie hear a really, really loud crash in Donna's room. So they get up and they go to look, and they look in the room, and Annabelle is laying in the middle of the floor in a very strange position once again. All of a sudden, Lou says that he feels like this deep, crashing, like sinking feeling of something demonic in that room. And all he remembers after that is being clenched to his chest in pain. And he looks on his chest and he has claw marks down his chest that are bleeding. So that was basically the turning point where the girls started to realize that this doll was not just a Raggedy Ann doll that a little girl seemed to like and joined on with and wanted to stay here for good memories. Because that is what she said. I believe I forgot to mention that, but the psychic said that the little girl had taken a liking to the doll. She lived in the area and she kind of wanted to just stay within the doll, within the space, yada yada yada. So they call a priest for help because they feel like it is now something demonic, that it is not just a little girl in this doll, and one way or another it catches the glimpse or the eye of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, Ed and Lorraine Warren are like icons in the spirit world when it comes to these types of experiences. I believe that Lorraine is a channeler, she's a medium, she's very, very psychic and spiritual and can see and hear a ton of things. For those of you who don't know, Ed and her basically would go and help clear people of demonic presences and resolve these like demonic cases. Within their home, they actually have like a museum of all of the possessed things that they've like attained over the years, and they keep them blessed in like a safe place. I believe their mentality with this is that it's better safe with them, where they know how to keep it contained and keep it nice and cleansed and perform exorcisms and cleansings on it, rather than in the hands of who knows who it would get passed to, and then the cycle of all of these different possessions and hauntings continues. So Ed and Lorraine Warren catch a glimpse of this story, and they end up coming to the house with a priest, and they perform an entire exorcism on like the doll in the house, and the girls beg them to take the doll with them, that they want nothing to do with it. They want to be rid of this entity for the rest of their lives. So Ed and Lorraine Warren take this doll back to their house. When they got home, there's a bee! You guys, do you see it? Do you see it? Okay, I'm really freaked out because I don't want to kill the bee and I don't want to interrupt this video. I want to get it done. I hope you guys saw it on the camera. Like, I'm not even exaggerating you. A bee just came at me. I've told you guys in my I'm Being Haunted update video that when I talk about certain things or do these types of things, things come out. I am deathly allergic to bees. Okay, I'm gonna leave that in because I want you guys to see how real that was and that I'm not lying about this bee thing. But anyways, now I read that they put the doll into this specific chair and it kept levitating right before them, right before their very eyes. They would lock the doll up in a room, I believe it was, something of that sort, and when they would come home, the doll would be resting comfortably with its legs crossed on their bed. So finally, with the help of a priest, they lock this doll up into this like little box, as you can see right here, and the doll has been locked up in there since. Now here's where it gets super creepy. There was a lot of skepticism and controversy revolving around Ed and Lorraine Warren and like the authenticity of their stories, their experiences, and things like Annabelle. So many priests from all across the country would come to see this doll, and some of them would come to test it. They would mock it, they would say really mean things to it, and in turn a lot of them would turn up dead or injured. One particular priest came to visit Annabelle, and he says to Annabelle something along the lines of, "You can't do anything, you're nothing but a stupid Raggedy Ann doll, you would never harm anyone," just taunting it. And Ed kicked him out and said, "Listen, I would not do that. That is the last thing that you want to be doing with this doll." And Lorraine was telling him, "Please get home safely. Like, you don't understand." Sorry, I keep looking at the bee. "You don't understand how serious this is, and I need you to tell me when you're home safely." On his way home, this priest was in a severe car wreckage. He later told Ed and Lorraine that his brakes just completely malfunctioned. He was unable to stop, and he had like a near-death experience. He literally almost died over this, and he believes that it attributed to his taunting of Annabelle. So Ed and Lorraine Warren, like I said, have all of these like possessed things in this like museum, so to speak, that they have within their own home. But they say that Annabelle is single-handedly the most haunted, dangerous thing in this museum. So that is where this became a major motion picture. Ed and Lorraine's story through The Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2 were told. These were experiences that like Ed and Lorraine experienced, and they brought it to life through film. Annabelle was briefly touched on, I believe, in The Conjuring 1. Don't quote me, either 1 or 2. And then they made her a major motion picture where she has 2 movies now, the one that I just recently saw. Now, while there is like brief truth, like there are like brief things that correlate with the true story, there are also a lot of things that were fabricated for Hollywood, like the appearance of the doll and the storyline in general. But I want to briefly touch on something that happened in this movie and the harsh reality of it. There's going to be like a brief 2-second spoiler here. It doesn't give much away, but if you do want to go watch the movie and you don't want to hear this, then I would just suggest like skipping over these next few seconds of what I say. Again, I'm really not giving away that much, but I want to be courteous to you guys. I love you. I don't want to spoil anything. But near the end of the movie, they touch on a subject, which is where the parents say that they prayed to anything that could help them see their daughter again, and then they got this demonic force. I've mentioned before that when it comes to demonic and devil-oriented things, that it is often in moments of weaknesses where souls are given up because people are so desperate, like in this movie they were, to see their daughter again, or like he thought my uncle was when my grandpa was passing away, that they won't even realize the depth of their decision and they will actually make the detrimental choice of selling their soul. People often don't think these things are real. I see it all the time on my channel, as much as there are tons of you who do believe, and I love it. Like, the Reese's Pieces believe in the unbelievable, but we get people watching these videos who don't necessarily always believe in it, which is totally okay. But they make these decisions of saying things in moments of weakness, not realizing the seriousness and the depths of these promises or what you're welcoming in. It's the same thing like I said in my Shane Dawson video when it comes to playing demonic games. You might be playing that game as a joke, and you might not be playing those rules right, and you might be doing it totally wrong, and you might think that it's all just fun and games because that game isn't real. But through the words that you're speaking and the things that you're doing, you may be attracting something else, something totally unrelated to that game. I just wanted to touch on the fact that they said they prayed to whatever forces could let them see their daughter again, and they attracted something demonic, just because that to me made me feel really nauseous watching it, because that is a reality for so many people. Not necessarily praying to any forces, but just not even realizing what you are attracting or what you are saying or what you are bringing while you are bringing it. Like, that's all I really wanted to say for that. But while certain parts of the Conjuring series and the Annabelle series and things like that are a little bit twisted and fabricated for Hollywood to make it a little bit more scary, there are still elements of things that are very, very true in it. And as much as they're fun to watch and they scare us, you have to remember how very real it is at the exact same time. Well, you guys, that is it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I kind of wanted to talk about the backstory of Annabelle for those of you who might not know, and touch briefly on my opinion on that little part of the movie. I had asked you guys on Twitter what you wanted to see from me today. This was one of the options, and it was the highest voted. So I'm giving you guys exactly what you asked for. Yesterday's haunted house video had a couple malfunctions with it, but that will be up tomorrow 100%. All I have to do is edit it, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And that is basically it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video but you are not yet subscribed, please go ahead, click that subscribe button. I post a ton of videos. I really don't want you to miss when I upload. And please give this video a big thumbs up. It makes my heart super, super happy. So please, please do that. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness. And until next time, love you.